small kingdom, dressed as a girl at age 9 with a bunch of the king's court children. And since I said before, the Greeks knew they could not win the war when it came about because of the opportunity of Helen being taken. Agamemnon sends his wisest soldier leader, Odysseus, who gets his own book later, to seek out Achilles. And the way he flushes Achilles out is kind of funny. He goes, he has a sense he might be here in his travels, he's getting his instincts perk up, and he sets a bunch of girls' toys out for all the courtesan or courtiers' children to play with. And he then sets out one spear amongst the children's toys. From that point, he rings the alarm bells of this other king, Lysaeus or Lycomedon or somebody, and everyone rushes to play with the toys, but Achilles, being a natural warrior, picks up the spear and goes to the city gates to defend the fortress. From that point on, Achilles never goes by his mother's method. He listens to her a couple times, mostly doesn't listen to her, refuses to choose peace and love, wants glory and death in exchange for eternal fame, the glory being eternal fame, and goes and trains to become a warrior for 10 years, where he meets Patroclus, who, interestingly enough, killed someone in boarding school, basically another student, just like his father had sort of in a rage killed his own brother in the hunt for the Caledonian boar years before. And using the same spear that ends up in Achilles' hand, forged by Charon, the wise centaur who taught Achilles and gives him the spear, and things are sort of full circle with that. That spear plays another part in actually how the Greeks end up finding Troy, which is quite interesting. On one of the outings, they take their ships, 10,000 ships, quite a lot, figure 50 persons, soldiers, whatever, oarsmen, fighters, builders per ship, maybe 60. Army of over 500,000. So this is a big deal that they want to do toward Troy, to take it over. They find other places, and everywhere they go, Achilles kills people. He kills people that his mother says don't kill because it's a bad omen. He has to make apologies. And all the time, the gods here are all split up on sides on who should be with the Greeks and who should be with the Trojans. Meanwhile, I guess Helen and Paris have many years of bliss, all to the consternation of Hector, his warrior brother, and finally the blessings of King Priam, who wants his son to be happy. So he does not give Helen back in the interest of peace at any point. Hence, on one of these journeys, they find a man who Achilles mortally wounds, but he's a strong, powerful warrior. He's a son of Hercules, and the Greeks have to leave, so they go home. But the wound given by the spear, they killed the Caledonian boar that was given to Achilles by Charon, left some rust or something in the wound. And he was told by another prophet, this guy, this king, warrior, that the only way to heal it was by the man who inflicted the wound, which was Achilles. So he goes by himself back to here saying, please help me. Achilles, baffled, says, I'm a warrior, I'm not a healer, what are you talking about? But again, wise Odysseus says, hey, well, maybe the weapon that caused the wound can cure the wound. So they do rub some of the excess rust back in the wound. He heals. He promises to lead them to Troy. Before getting there, his wound comes back a little bit. Achilles gets tired of him and kills him. The rage of Achilles kills many. But the beginning of the Iliad actually starts with him not fighting. So the first half of the book, he does no fighting. But believe me, he makes up for it later on. When he does start fighting, because Patroclus, his friend, possibly lover, that's not really established either way, is killed while wearing his armor to defend the Greeks, who do eventually find Troy. They land their 10,000 ships on a beach. They fight for 10 years, okay? to try and take Troy. It's a very back and forth, back forth battle. And many heroes die. Eventually, Achilles even kills Hector, son of Priam. Priam mourns. Achilles is brutal. He drags Hector's body around the city of Troy 3 times on the ground on the back of a chariot. Late at night, King Priam takes a risk. Greeks seem to respect secret envoys who come unguarded, without guards, to ask for something. He begs, he cries. Achilles feels sorry and gives back King Priam the body of his son Hector. So, the end of the conflict. Definitely you can see where the role models come in, perhaps where the bias comes in, and definitely where the roots of conflict are never what we think they are, can always be changed at earlier points if we try, but often the moral of the Greeks is to the gods' trickery or dismay or our dismay. They don't let those good things happen. The easy fixes do not happen in conflict, especially of this size. That's kind of one of the morals of the story. Even to the point where the 2 great figures of the book, Homer has them meet in secret, another secret meeting. And that is, Achilles says to the gods he wants to meet with Helen in the middle of the war, actually at the beginning. He's transported or somehow led into her chamber. They have a détente that lasts maybe a minute or 2 or 3, where there's absolutely no chemistry behind them, which can make you think that the rumors about Patroclus could be true or not, could be anything. But they find no resolution, come to no treaty between the 2 sides. From this point, as we can see, the war's gone on for 10 years. Little hope of anything happening, keeps going back and forth. Pestilence comes, people beg, Achilles fights and kills. Still, the Greeks cannot get into Troy. It's just impossible. The city is famed for its great walls and its great protection. It has many heroes protecting it, even though Hector is dead still. Sarpedon, others. Achilles has great heroes on his side too. There's Ajax and some others. So again, where Minerva, her wisdom doesn't always come full circle here in Homer's version of the Iliad. She's made a few mistakes. Thetis is hardly ever listened to for her wisdom, for Achilles mostly. But Odysseus scores 3 for 3 in the Iliad. He comes up with an idea to once and for all end this war, and not with a treaty. Because Agamemnon will not stand for that. Agamemnon is a proud, selfish, and greedy man. That's basically who he is. He at one point takes Achilles' slave lover, a female captured from the Trojans, and that is why Achilles is sulking and will not fight, why he's pissed, his rage. So only the death of Patroclus pulls him back in, and then the council of Nestor and some others, who is another wise man over here on that part of the camp. But Odysseus' plan is to leave, as we know, perhaps, or perhaps not. And remember, this is old days, fellas and gals. This is rough, brutal, hand-to-hand, spear, knife, killing, fighting, etc. This is not guns. Decides to leave a big, terribly drawn by me, wooden horse on the beach of Troy, and says for the king Agamemnon, take all our ships and go away, the 10,000 ships, or whatever left, because some have burned in a quite symbolic of coitus and pestilence, disease, symbolic battle that happened around the planks of the ships. sort of as an entry point, maybe for another lecture. Anyway, they leave this big horse. They take off the Greeks in their ships. Let's say 9,000 by now. Who knows? Many dead on both sides. The Trojans rejoice in victory, and they come out and see on their own beach this beautiful, very beautiful wooden horse, and they don't know what to do. Well, they finally say one of their people, again, maybe someone whose wisdom was not 100% on par, and at the most unfortunate time, says, well, they had to leave it as an offering to their side of the gods, leave something behind. So they say, okay, well, they're gone. It's now our trophy. They put wheels on it. They put ropes. It's huge, but not gigantic. And they drag it inside the gates of Troy and have a massive blowout party, okay? And it's inside. Everyone's debauched. Everyone's relaxed. Everyone's rejoicing. Hence, in reality, there are 20 Greeks hidden inside this hollow horse, all plan of Odysseus, approved by Agamemnon, thought is brilliant, barely much right away. They let down a rope ladder, climb down, sneak over to the gates of Troy, and open them. By this time, the ships have come back. All the Greeks rush in, and they raze the city of Troy to nothingness, killing everyone, just about, except for the few who escape. So the sands of Troy do not last long. In that battle, ironically, or not so, Paris shoots an arrow and kills Achilles by hitting him in the heel. That's his Achilles heel. The one thing Thetis had done before to protect him was either dip him in the river Styx, holding him by the ankle, or another version, putting him in embers of fire to ensure his immortality. Okay? But Peleus, a mere mortal, thinks she's crazy, walks in and says, "What the hell are you doing?" Screams. She runs away in rage. She doesn't like it when men defy her. And the one part of Achilles that's not made invulnerable to death is his ankle that she's holding on to let him in the water or the flaming coals. So Paris does kill Achilles. Achilles gets his death and his glory. His name is still known to this day. And that is essentially the Battle of Troy, seen through myth and interpretation by Professor Eric, and through a few tidbits of previous history of the mythology thrown in to connect it in a larger picture. Hope you enjoyed the lecture. Please definitely feel free to contact me if you have any other questions, and definitely call me on any miscues. I will give you an answer, or I will make one up that is quite satisfactory. Good day.